My sister went nuclear after my wedding, accused my friends of theft, invented lies I never said, dragged our entire family into a storm of accusations, and then erased me from her life overnight. Now I'm left picking through the ashes wondering what actually happened. I'm 30, my older half-sister is 36, and for most of my life, she has been one of the closest people to me. We don't share a mother, which is part of why our relationship mattered so much. I'm no contact with my own mom because she ignored, and in many ways enabled, the physical abuse I experienced growing up. My sister stepped into that void when I was around 12. She was the person who gave me relationship advice, career guidance, and emotional support when no one else did. For years, we talked every single day. We had a group chat with our other half-sister, and it was the kind of constant, easy communication that made me feel like I finally had the family I'd always wished for. I trusted her with everything. I never once imagined a future where she wasn't part of my life. That's why I am so confused and gutted right now. I got married in May, and nothing seemed wrong leading up to it. She liked my husband. She genuinely seemed excited for us. She said over and over that we were a great match, that she was proud of me, that she couldn't wait to see the life we'd built. And then, on the night I should have been celebrating happiness and new beginnings, everything started unraveling. At the wedding, nobody, not the coordinator, not anyone from either of our families, grabbed the gifts off the table after the reception. We didn't realize until 3 days later, during our honeymoon when we checked in with the venue. By then, everything was gone. Stolen. Along with an envelope of cash we desperately needed. I was devastated. It felt violating and embarrassing and honestly just confusing. In my frustration, I messaged my family group chat asking what happened and whether anyone had seen anything. Most responses were vague, apathetic, or unhelpful. It made me feel even worse, like something important to me had been brushed aside. So I reached out to my older sister privately and told her how upset I was. I wasn't blaming anyone, I just needed someone to act like they cared. Her response? She immediately accused my husband's friends, my wedding party, saying they had already stolen an extreme amount of items that night. She told me to question them, not the family. I was stunned. She had no evidence, no reason to say that, and it felt like she was looking for someone to blame that wasn't her or anyone on our side of the family. I told her that wasn't fair and that I didn't want to throw accusations around. She instantly got cold. She said she didn't want to be part of drama. She said I was defending the wrong people. She said I was making this harder than it needed to be. Her response absolutely blindsided me. No one, not me, not my husband, had heard a single whisper about the wedding party stealing things. For context, the wedding was in my family's backyard. Everyone got ready in the homes on the property. Only my dad and grandfather live there, none of my siblings do. So, logically, the only people with unsupervised access that entire day were the vendors and caterers coming in and out of those houses. My husband and I had even pointed it out during the wedding. We both said we felt uncomfortable with how many people had free access to the rooms, including the locked room where items, not our gifts, were supposedly stolen earlier that day. It wasn't an accusation. It was just an observation that maybe someone should supervise. So I tried to explain that to her, calmly, rationally. I said it made more sense than believing that multiple members of my wedding party somehow coordinated a mass theft in a place they'd never been and had no reason to wander through. I thought we were just having a conversation. But she immediately shut that down and said, "So, you think my son is a liar?" I remember staring at the text because it came out of nowhere. She had never once mentioned that my nephew had seen anything. I told her, "No, you didn't say he witnessed anything. How would I know that?" And suddenly, now multiple children had witnessed it. And then somehow in the next message, she herself had witnessed it too. It made no sense. The story shifted every time I tried to get clarity. And none of it matched the person I'd known for 20 years. Then she started attacking my friends. Not just calling them mistaken, calling them evil, fake, the kind of people who pretend to care while robbing you blind. She said my husband and I have no real friends, that everyone who stood beside me on my wedding day was a user or a leech. These were people she had met once, for a few hours. People who flew across the country at their own expense to support us. And she kept doubling down. She said over 15 people, my bridesmaids, his groomsmen, college friends, childhood friends, were all in on it. According to her, they stole every gift we received, including one that was literally the size of a suitcase. as if 15 people conspired to steal wedding presents and then walked onto flights the next morning with giant boxes and gift bags shoved in their carry-ons. It was absurd and insulting, and honestly, it felt cruel. Then she went for the jugular. She claimed one of my bridesmaids, someone she barely spoke 3 sentences to, was a cheater who slept with the best man. Both of them are married. She called her a skank, liar, thief, and whore and told me, "Ask her. I bet she knows exactly where it all went." At that point, my stomach dropped. It wasn't just mean. It wasn't just out of character. It felt like she was trying to scorch the earth. Like she wanted to poison every relationship in my life at once. These responses honestly left me stunned. I mean, I've known this woman for 17 years. She's been my rock, my confidant, my sounding board. And in all that time, I had never, not once, heard her speak to me with this kind of venom. It was like texting with a completely different person. Someone who hated me. Someone who wanted to hurt me. I kept asking her what she was talking about, trying to get clarity, trying to steady myself, but every time I asked a simple question, she escalated. She told me to stop blaming family and blame both of your terrible friends. I told her I wasn't blaming family at all. I literally said I believed it was a vendor or a random person with access. I even emphasized that I didn't think anyone in the family stole anything. And she just ignored it. Completely. She snapped back into another rant, laser-focused on that one bridesmaid, calling her every foul name she could come up with. It felt unhinged. I could barely keep up with how fast her tone was changing. By that point, I was shaking so badly I had to sit down. My chest felt tight. I was crying, confused, anxious, and this was all happening while we were supposed to be leaving for a honeymoon. My husband saw the look on my face and immediately knew something was wrong. Before I could even explain, my sister was already calling me. And like an idiot, I picked up. The moment I said hello, she launched into another tirade. This time it was louder, harsher, and there was this frantic edge to her voice that made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. She kept insisting our friends were lying thieves and that we needed to confront them immediately. "Don't blame our brother," she kept repeating. And that's when the conversation took a turn I still haven't fully processed. She dragged our brother into it. For context, our brother, her full sibling, my half-sibling, had a very rough patch more than a decade ago. He struggled with addiction when he was younger. He did things he's not proud of. Things none of us are proud of. But he got clean. He built a life. He's married now with 2 kids, and he's the kind of father who never misses a school play or a bedtime story. He's been sober for over 10 years and has worked hard, painfully hard, to rebuild trust. And the thing is, I had never once accused him of anything. The thought never even crossed my mind. That chapter of his life felt so far behind him that it wasn't even in the realm of possibility for me. I genuinely believe he closed that door for good because he's never given me a reason to doubt his recovery. At this point, I completely broke. I don't even know how to describe it except to say my body went into full fight or flight. My hands were shaking uncontrollably, my chest was tight, and I could barely breathe. I don't think I'd ever heard myself scream like that before, not out of anger, but sheer panic and disbelief. I kept shouting, "I never said that," over and over because I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. It was like she was having an entirely different conversation in her head and assigning it to me. My husband gently took the phone from my hands because I was visibly spiraling. He put it on speaker so I could hear, and he tried to ground the situation. But my sister immediately pivoted, completely ignoring everything I'd said, and started yelling that we needed to stop blaming Alan. We were stunned. Neither of us had mentioned him. Not once. Not even hinted at it. My husband, genuinely confused, asked her, "What are you talking about?" And she just launched into this tirade about how all of his friends were thieves, how we'd surrounded ourselves with degenerates, how our wedding party was full of liars and criminals, and on and on. He pushed back, calmly but firmly, because these are people he has known for over a decade. He asked for specifics, any detail about these supposed many witnesses, but every answer she gave contradicted the previous one. And then, like flipping a switch, she shouted, "F this, I'm getting my husband," as if we were attacking her family. A second later, he answered with, "So, why are you guys blaming Alan for stealing?" My husband actually laughed, that disbelieving, incredulous kind of laugh when something is so obviously untrue, you don't know how else to react. He repeated himself, slowly, carefully. "No one blamed Alan. Neither of us said that. Not once. Her husband sighed and said, "Well, that's not what she told me." My husband responded, "I don't know why she thinks that, but we never said that. At all." They managed to have a civil back and forth, but I could tell he was disturbed. The whole thing felt surreal, like we were being dragged into a chaotic narrative we had never consented to. I told myself it was a misunderstanding, that maybe she'd calm down, maybe she'd reflect, maybe she'd apologize once emotions settled and the wedding chaos passed. I genuinely believed, or wanted to believe, the relationship we had for nearly 2 decades meant enough for her to reach out. But she didn't. Instead, she vanished. When the dust finally settled after that nightmarish phone call, I hoped, my older sister would reach out once everything calmed down. Maybe she'd text me the way she always had after every rough moment in my life. Maybe she'd say, "Hey, we misunderstood each other," or "Emotions were high," or even just, "Let's talk." But instead, she vanished. Not literally, but socially, digitally, and emotionally. And somehow that hurts worse. I noticed the first sign when I opened Instagram and saw her name missing from my followers. I checked again, thinking maybe it was a glitch. Then I went to Facebook. Same thing. She didn't just unfollow me, she scrubbed me. Any photo we were tagged in? Gone. Any picture of us on her page? Deleted. Even the bridal shower photos she'd once said she loved so much were nowhere to be found. I went to open our sister group chat, a chat that had existed for years, a chat we used daily, and it wasn't there. Just gone. As if someone had picked up a rug and shaken me out of it. Our younger sister didn't say anything, and I honestly don't even know what she thinks happened. It's like everyone is quietly choosing sides in a war I never wanted. I scrolled through my messages trying to find the chat. I never delete anything, ever, so I know I didn't remove it. I tried searching her name, tried searching random phrases. Nothing. The realization slowly crept in. She removed me. She actually removed me. And then she stopped sharing her location with me. It was something we had always done for safety, even when we weren't actively talking. Just gone. The next blow came from my grandmother. Out of nowhere, she called me to ask why I was accusing my brother of stealing from the wedding. I remember sitting there in stunned silence. I had defended him multiple times. I had never blamed him, not once. But somehow the story had twisted into me spreading rumors about our brother being a thief. It felt like standing in the middle of a room watching everyone whisper about something I never said, yet everyone believes it anyway. What's worse is that I still don't know the truth. I want to believe my brother didn't do it. I want to believe he's grown into the man he's been for the last decade. Responsible, sober, a devoted dad. But everyone's strange reactions, everyone's defensiveness, everyone pointing fingers at people who had zero opportunity to take anything, it all makes me feel like the ground underneath my family might not be as solid as I thought. And then there's my dad and his cameras. My dad has outdoor cameras around the property, cameras that should have shown something. Anything. But every time I've asked for the footage, he avoids the question. He says he'll send it later. He never does. I've asked him 5 times, maybe more. At this point, I'm not even sure the footage still exists. It makes me sick to think something so simple could clear this entire mess up, but no one will just show it to me. Meanwhile, my nephews had their birthdays recently. I sent them each a text, just a simple, "Happy birthday, love you." Like I always do. For the first time in their entire lives, I got nothing back. No heart emoji from my sister pretending it's from them. No video of them blowing out candles. Silence. That hurt more than I can even put into words. It feels like I've been erased from their lives because of something I still don't even understand. Something I didn't say. Something I didn't do. And here I am, months later, still stuck in this aching confusion. I want to call her, but I can't bring myself to. I feel like if I'm the first one to reach out, it's me taking responsibility for something that wasn't my fault. I didn't slander her husband. I didn't accuse our brother. I didn't blame our family. I didn't do anything except get married and try to figure out what happened to our stolen gifts. And somehow, that alone was enough to break a 17-year relationship that had been one of the most important of my life. I'm terrified she's going no contact with me. Truly terrified. Not because I can't live without her, but because I never imagined she would ever choose to live without me. Not like this. Not over something so warped, so confusing, so completely unlike anything we'd ever experienced.